Welcome to the Battle Royale here at Solutions 8. This is an epic showdown, a meeting of the minds. Two men enter, only one will leave. A death match. All right, I'll stop. First blood. What we're doing here is we're debating, more or less. We're having a friendly conversation about Performance Max campaigns and whether it makes more sense to use multiple PMax campaigns, when and where it makes more sense to use multiple PMax campaigns, and when and where it makes sense to use a singular PMax campaign. Joining us are combatants, if you will. In the left corner is Caden, one of our strategists here at Solutions 8. And then in the right corner is Usama, whose light keeps darkening, which makes you the villain, Usama. Like as right? It's more and more foreboding.
I don't know what's going on with my lighting. I feel like I should rotate my screen.
And I don't know, I actually don't know who's on what side. So who's going to go first? And actually, maybe I'm going to go first. One of the things somebody said in the company Slack channel when we said we were going to have the Battle Royale is, I hope our clients never watch this, which is true, because it's like, well, gosh, it depends on so many things, you know, geography, company, SKU count, whatever. So we'll say there are no golden rules, and there's a bunch of reasons why you would or wouldn't do this. But with that said, I think this is a hyper relevant topic for our viewer base right now. So let's dive into it. Fight.
I'll go first if you want, Usama. So I've kind of adopted the mindset of, generally speaking, it's better to go with one Performance Max campaign because there's a lot more dynamics to it. And so having multiple Performance Max campaigns can lead you into situations where, you know, one Performance Max campaign might be prospecting out and the other one might be just remarketing more so. And so in order for those two to get aligned, I see a lot of issues in accounts that I have currently where, you know, even though they have the URLs excluded, where, you know, same budget, launch, same time, same everything, pretty much, just different products, different listing groups. There seems to be still some carryover from one campaign to the next. And so my whole thought process behind this was, well, why don't we just max out the asset groups in one campaign in order to pretty much feed the beast to where it's dynamically all in one, meaning the campaign is working together. You don't have one campaign that's prospecting, one that's not, and then leverage that data to then locate, okay, these are top performing products and these aren't top performing products. And I'm talking about e-commerce generally in this, you know, conversation. The only time that I really found it being very beneficial for multiple is if there's a huge discrepancy in the cost of the products. So if you have, you know, like $1,000 product and then like a $50 product, obviously Google is going to go for the point of least resistance to give you the highest ROAS. So the issue with that obviously is if you want to sell a lot more of a certain product, it's very hard to push the algorithm in that direction with a singular campaign. You can eventually expand out to it. And so, like I said, that's when scalability comes into play. But as for the main issues I see with multiple campaigns that solve that, is that issue there. So Usama, onto your point about why multiple, I guess, Performance Maxes are.
Man, I never said I was going to do multiple campaigns. But so, okay, I agree with most of what you say. Okay, actually pretty much all of what you say. But what happens in the context where you have a very large SKU count with multiple collections and you're bounded by 100 limit asset groups? That's point one. I also agree with I kind of disagree with the different profitability one, because where we split it up based off how I guess the price points are and how profitable, and like if you have one spending 1,000 and you have another at 2,000, because we've had accounts and we've combined them after. We've had two instances, can't even pronounce stuff right now, where we had very high price point products and very low price point products that we split out for that reason, but then we combined it again because it performed better together instead of being separate. So that, and the last thing I want to say, don't go off of what we say, it's very dependent on your niche, your products, your brand, your branding, your overall funnel. Majority of our cases, we were able to work with one campaign, but I have also been able to pretty much double an account's budget while giving a higher ROAS than what the client wanted. in an account with around like by launching 8 campaigns. And they didn't have 100 asset group. They all started with like 6, 7 asset groups. And now I think they're up to like 15, 20. So it's not like a ridiculous build out to, so that's heavily dependent on the type of products you have. And so I'm gonna go in deeper into what that was. So this was an account, and when I decided to split it up, it initially started off with everything combined together. And then what we kind of noticed was that because this person was carrying branded products, people were searching specifically for those brands. Now, these are well-known brands in that niche. People go for them. So what we started doing was starting to split based off of each brand, and then started categorizing the products in those asset groups accordingly. And their goal was 5x, and we were heavily scaling during that time. Like each time we created a separate campaign, we were setting a high budget. We were setting it at $100. Basically, the original campaign had like, I think it's like 300 or 400, and each new campaign we launched was starting at like $100, $150. So we set up 8, so we pretty much tripled their budgets in that 1 month. And each one of those campaigns took off immediately based off of the brand I was selling. What we kind of did after is like the brands that did really well, we identified. We're like, these are the brands that people like, these are the brands people do, and we're scaling those even more now. Well, the brands that didn't work out as properly, didn't work out as well, we kind of regrouped them back together into a single campaign, and now that's doing better too. So there was a lot that happened here.
I have an assertion based on what you just said, and I want y'all to tell me what you think about this, because it's a golden rule, and I know John wants no golden rules for Performance Max. It sounds like it's one Performance Max campaign per unique audience.
Yes.
So if the audience is the same, even if the products are disparate, have massive spreads, different margins, if the service is the same, as long as the audience is the same, it's in one Performance Max campaign. The minute you have a separate audience, because I know we talk about splitting up Performance Max campaigns by language, which is separate audience.
Mhm.
What Osama just said with the different brands, people are going after very specific brands. That's a different audience.
I'm gonna send you the niche, and I don't know how you want to
We
explain
can just chat it into Zoom. Are you trying to hide it?
In our chat. Yeah. It's just gonna
Or you can put it in a
so,
Slack.
yeah, there was this niche, and we were selling this. And that's what all the brands carried essentially. Those were those 2 products were basically the 2 major ones, and these were like secondary ones, which we have a campaign for just this, and it's doing extremely well. Everyone watching like, what the hell is he
So this is a good example. I'm just going to say it because we're not giving away who the client is.
Okay.
So the niche is baby products, separate PMax campaign for strollers, separate PMax campaign for car seats.
No. It was PMax campaign for each brand. So let's say strollers had a brand, and then asset group we split up. Oh wait, no, we didn't even split up the asset group. They're combined. So all the baby strollers and the car seats and toys were in that asset group.
Dude,
that
separate
brand.
PMax campaign for every stroller brand.
Yeah, essentially every baby brand we split up into a separate thing, and literally in a month we doubled their budget.
I wonder
But then again, those are well-known brands. Like, think about it. Like, parents do heavy research into those brands. They go after it, right? And as soon as PMax is able to identify how far down the funnel they are, he's able to capture it right when he needs them.
So, I wonder if the reason for that would be based on the fact that they're already established, and so they've already taken their slice of the pie, and you're just leveraging that aspect of it.
And that's literally it. It's like, they're well established. People know about them. You're literally going after that traffic, and majority of our conversions in those campaigns are those branded convert. It's like brand stroller, brand blank stroller, and PMax is, because it knows what to go after. It's absolutely crushing it, going after the exact bottom of funnel traffic it needs to.
So are you using like, so for like the audience signals roughly, like are you using like just, the normal setup where there's like keywords, URLs,
Dude,
all converters, like it's all just lumped into one kind of thing?
No, I have it split up, but it's not that aggressive. If that's the word I'm going to use. It's not like we have like 50 asset groups built out. It's more like we have maybe 12. And that was built up, by the way, based off the insights we got.
Right.
And the interesting part was that I used insights from the other campaigns as well.
And they bled over.
Yeah. And I could use that audience because it was the same audience, because like the general niche of the products are the same. So because each PMax was probably going after different audiences, testing them, I just took the best ones and created asset groups around them.
That makes a lot of sense. The cross-pollination of audience across PMax campaigns.
Yeah.
That's a good debate point.
Yeah, well, it's
well,
such a unique and specific instance, though, and I don't think a ton of companies are going to have.
I think if you're carrying brands that are well known,
yeah.
right, you could get away with it, and you could scale heavily. I once I won't say the name of the person. I once ran an account for a guy that was selling Nike shoes, dude. And I spent like, I can't swear, I spent a lot of money on that campaign, and all my conversions were literally branded. So if it's a well-known brand, right, it will, and people are searching for it, like people are searching for that brand in ridiculous amounts because they want their products, right? It will go after those terms immediately. There's no thought behind it.
Mm.
That makes sense. I mean, I have an account that is doing something similar to that. I guess in that situation, though, it's very instead of segmenting by brand, it's more so by like product, and then there's asset groups in there that are segmented out by brand that then use the keywords, and then it's working. So that's why I guess I wonder if maybe then, depending on the difference, that could be like kind of a cool test, is if we can see which way is better to segment out, whether it be by general product type, or if we go directly into brand and then lean more into that and see if that actually gives us a better ROAS.
I personally think you should start with a catch-all, with a single camp, especially if you're carrying multiple brands. Start with everything combined together, but split your asset group based off of brands, right?
So yeah, so we did do that. The issue came back down to sort of the idea I was talking about earlier, which was ROAS. Meaning the ROAS goals were very different for one product versus another product.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led to the algorithm favoring like, okay, we can get this, we can scale this up, and then this higher ROAS for this product may just be a byproduct of it.
That goes back to the conversation that we had a while ago. I think this was John and I, but it actually might have been all the strategists. We just can't have ROAS goals for early stage performance max campaigns. We're going to go spend, see what's possible, and then based off of performance, we can start to split things off and then apply ROAS goals if and when necessary. But for a client to come, fresh, new to performance max, which is all of them, and say, I want to test performance max and I need to get a 3x, 5x, 10x, whatever. We can't do both of those things. It's like, we're going to test performance max, go learn, identify your audience, and then we'll figure out what the ROAS goal should be. This is actually a sales problem. We have a sales problem right now because we're selling the way that we sold smart shopping. Because smart shopping, it was like, hey, generally speaking, we can get a 300% ROAS on the vast majority of products that have an $80 AOV, and then we can scale that. And we had some clients that got up to 15,000% ROAS. With performance max, ROAS isn't the first step. Proof of concept with the audience is the first step, and ROAS is the second step.
There's also a gold standard that we used to have with ROAS. It's like, if you have 50 conversions, you should set a ROAS goal of whatever you want on it. That no longer takes effect here, because when you think about it, that 50 conversions was for one network, right? So now we're across what is it, 7 networks?
Yeah.
7 different networks, basically, right? So what we really need in a month is like 100+ conversions before we go and even consider putting ROAS on it. And just to add on to the ROAS argument, I don't like putting a ROAS goal on it. I'd rather play around with my asset groups, play around with my listing groups till I maximize how much ROAS I can get and how much I can spend and get away with.
Yeah.
Right? Once I've hit that plateau, that's when I put a ROAS goal on my accounts.
I guess the way that I look at it is not necessarily, when I say ROAS goal, I don't mean like setting a ROAS goal. I mean, just like, that's the goal in my head for the client. And so it's like, okay, they spend this much. What is the delta for them to reach that ROAS? And so like what I found a lot of times with Performance Max is that, sometimes you come in too high or too low on the budget. And then you have to sort of like massage it to where like, okay, this is the goal, and then start to scale. Cause I found that Performance Max is essentially, we have another combatant.
Yeah, this is like the WWF, or I guess y'all are young, so for you it's the WWE, but like, somebody comes in halfway through the fight with a chair
or a lamp, like FA.
All right, FA. So we're having a battle royale, and actually so far everybody agrees. So this is a horrible fight.
I mean, it's
we're
a lot of
talking about,
information.
Yeah, it's good information. That's exactly right. We're talking about when to use one Performance Max campaign, when to use multiple Performance Max campaigns. And this is a good opportunity to summarize. Can we, Caden, you give us what you think your summary is so far. Usama, you give us what you think your summary is so far.
Okay, tell me everything that's been told, and I'm gonna counter it,
That's
even if
fair.
it's correct. You guys are wrong, by the way.
like-
So I mean, I guess per my understanding is we pretty much, me and Usama agree on like 90% of the things that we discussed, that having one Performance Max campaign is generally good if you have all the assets built out. However, in certain instances, for specific situations, like if you have a brand that's very established, and you already have like a very designated audience in the audience pool of Google, then it makes a lot more sense to break it out into separate campaigns. I'm kind of the mindset of, I still think that if there's a discrepancy in product price, that there's still a reason to split out the campaigns. And so we're kind of going back and forth on that.
What he said.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
So what's okay? So now we got that's pretty much the context. So now, what's your thought on one PMax versus multiple? I think I'm just laying back. I should be more.
Like one.
Always
to be
one.
honest. Always one. Like,
What about multiple languages?
Multiple countries.
Hmm.
Boom,
we
FA.
caught him, Kasim. And what if we have too many collections and can't build enough asset groups? What do you do then?
of course, break it out then.
We got him.
Yeah, but so there are, that's the thing is the rule seems to be one Performance Max campaign, generally speaking, unless there's like really specific, multiple countries, multiple languages, massive SKU count. And then if, to the point that Usama was making right before FA joined, if you find products that are going to perform better in a silo, probably because they have a dedicated audience, then you can spin those off in their own PMax campaign. My question there, and this gets a little philosophical, which that's where I like to go with this, is it felt like Smart Shopping did a really good job at maximizing the value of a customer. So if you bought my bike, you're going to buy my tires and my bike pump and my helmet. If I took the bike and I put it in its own PMax campaign, I don't think that PMax campaign will then go sell you after you buy my bike. It's not going to go sell you my tires, my bike pump, and my helmet unless I build that into its own specific remarketing campaign. So maybe that's part of the strategy, but there's definitely not a set it and forget ability to go back and milk your customers for more.
Yeah, I think the remarketing that we were talking about earlier with John, that whole shift and everything was like a big factor that we're like, I wondered why we were seeing some like discrepancies on transitioning over from performance or from Smart Shopping to Performance Max. Because, you know, you look at Smart Shopping, you're like, oh my gosh, we're getting super good ROAS, but we're getting a ton of returning customers. And so that's sort of like the 80-20 rule that, you know, we were talking about earlier, which is like, you know, Performance Max is going to go 80% towards new customers, 20% towards returning customers. And then Smart Shopping is the, you know, reverse of that. And so, you know, with the trade-off with Performance Max is, yes, you can keep scaling because it's going to keep prospecting for new customers. However, you have a tail behind that you still have to cannibalize to try to say, okay, what else can we get out of these customers? So I think, yeah, adding in that dynamic remarketing was definitely a really good call on that. And I think that'll help a lot of accounts.
And I think just to add to Kaden's point, the Smart Shopping was 80% remarketing and 20% outbound, which made it really good for reoccurring customer people. So let's, I don't know, a simple example was like someone selling air filter machine. They're going to need filters over and over again, right?
Yeah, any consumable.
So, any consumable. So you sold the device, but they're going to keep coming back for the filter. So Smart Shopping did a really good job of tracking who was coming back for it and kept going after it because it was more remarketing. It was focusing on getting that customer to come back to you and buy more stuff. So if you had, like you said, something consumer based or consumable based, it would do a really good job getting you back to the website. But because PMax is more outbound than remarketing, it gets the customer once, and now it's your job to keep the customer alive in your, whether it's email, whether it's remarketing, whatever you do.
Well, the way to keep the customer alive, what if we were to take our customer list, build it into Performance Max, and make that an independent Performance Max campaign? So now I have my acquisition campaign. Well, that was some of this is more or less, didn't you come up with this template or somebody? The acquisition campaign and the remarketing campaign specifically?
No, but then those are audience signals. They might start off with the customer list,
And
but
then
then
it
it's
gets
just going to go on some tangent. So if Google let us do a targeting and we were able to update our customer list every time.
We can
I'm
update
testing
our
that in an
customers
account.
dynamically using Zapier. So you can connect
You're
your
testing.
CRM via Zapier into Google Ads, update the customer list, and then hopefully, as long as the customer list is being updated faster than Google can run out of customers, it won't expand beyond your marketing list.
What's interesting, sorry, before I move on to my point, Kaden said you were testing it on an account. What was-
I'm testing it not in that exact format, but just with a different segmentation with Performance Max that you have.
Okay.
Just trying to figure out what would be the most beneficial thing to do. But I wanted to do a quick point because there is also reasons to not do remarketing in Google for the fact that if you have like, well, when I say that, when I say that, I mean in reference to like a subscription. So like if you have like if you're selling like a product that's going to get purchased over and over again, there is other ways to then lean into that heavy. Whether that be, you know, if you have email remarketing, whether you have like a YouTube channel that covers it. So the spend is going to fluctuate. And so I think that Performance Max, you know, one thing that I found is really good is that the fact that it goes after new customers. And then if you have a really good ecosystem that you can pull them into, you can, you know, lower your LTV goals, find new customers, and it makes it a lot easier for you to essentially hit those goals without having to, you know, spend as much on remarketing as, you know, you would have without it.
Just
And when I
to
say
add
remarketing,
on
I
to
mean
the-
dynamic
yeah.
remarketing,
Hmm.
separate campaign, not Performance Max.
Just to add on to the customer list, we actually did a test where we added an updated customer list versus an older customer list. And the updated customer list outperformed the old customer list. So in theory, if you keep updating your customer list, like with Zapier or something in an automated work managed or automated way, that asset group is what I'm going to call it, is probably going to continuously do extremely well and get better.
So to the point you just made, I don't know that we've tested automatically updating a customer list instead of Performance Max.
We haven't. The only reason I say that is because we launched an account with a customer list, then we got an updated customer list and created another asset group around it, and that one did better. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, does updating your customer list, continuously updating it, help improve performance?
I think it depends on the product too. I mean, that's really what it comes down to is just your niche. Like everything is so different. Like you can have something to where it's like, I only want new customers. I have a really good, you know, system to keep those customers. But then, you know, you have some other campaign where it's like, well, we can increase the value of the LTV just if we were to remarket them a little bit more. Yeah, I think it's just based case by case. That's the thing that kind of, you know, is fun and also very annoying sometimes is you have to figure out what's wrong.
FA.
We on those points. It's not, like you said, it's not a battle royale, like you said.
Yeah, this was like a weird sort of truce.
Went from PMax to something else.
Came to the
Yeah.
battlefield and realized that we were all friends and
Yeah, we
agreed on
test out
exactly where the
the
line should be
same
drawn.
things because we have a strategy channel. Once someone found something, we just start testing the same thing and we get the same results. Like, what can I say? There are no golden rules, but there are some SOPs that we're following.
Yeah,
It's kind of
so
starting
the fact that
points.
there are no golden rules is what keeps us in business as an agency. Because if we started identifying golden rules of Performance Max because of the strength, we'd have to pivot very quickly to an education company because nobody would pay us to keep doing this. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
not to sound like it's predatory in a lot of ways, but the strategy is what keeps us in the money. Because and I think Google's going to try to optimize us out of that someday. I think that's their goal. I don't know if they'll ever get there, but it's fun to watch them. It's fun to watch them make very strong attempts. But the fact that we use Performance Max in such a diverse set of ways, I think that's the reason you need a Google Ads person, or you need to use it, learn it well enough to be able to use them.
Yeah, it was easier with Smart Shopping, but Performance Max is completely different. Like Kaden said, it differentiates in every industry. Like for an example, we talked about the usual stuff is creating one Performance Max campaign, but I have a client, they're selling SnapPays and Afro Puffs, but the hero product is SnapPay. And if I put everything in one Performance Max campaign, let's say I spend $1,000, $950 of that budget is going to SnapPay. So it's eating out all the budget. So, and it's not meeting the ROAS goal. So what do? Do I turn it off? Do I turn off the hero product? Like 80% of their revenue is coming from that product. I cannot turn it off. So what I can do is create a different Performance Max campaign and maintain that. The ROAS goal is 3x. Right now we're hitting 2x. So what I did is that I take that snap pay, I created different Performance Max campaign with like 10 or 15 asset groups. I gave it different budget, and to test out other stuff, I just separated out.
Yeah, that speaks to what we were talking about before you joined, which was ROAS goals come way later.
Yeah.
Because PMax is testing so many different types of audiences that you can't learn an audience and have a ROAS goal at the same time. It's a lucky accident when you do, and it's happened to us, but that can't be the expectation.
Especially with new accounts. That's it's a whole situation with new accounts.
Yeah, we got to share this video with Mike and just get like the entire sales narrative needs to change. And I think we're getting there too as we're learning PMax more. And if you're watching this, I think half of our listeners or watchers or subscribers or whatever agencies, maybe more than that. You got to change the way you sell PMax. You can't promise a result. You're like the R&D department. It's like, hey, I'm going to go figure out who buys from you, and then we'll figure out how we scale that.
The game has changed. Like you said, like you are promising 90 days and you have to give us like $100 for a smart shopping campaign. So it's using that $100 on just like shopping and dynamic remarketing. Now it's PMax, it's still the budget is the same and you're promising the same days, but it's using that $100 in shopping, Gmail, display, discovery, YouTube, like everything else. So the budget is more divided now.
Yeah,
so
someone said that earlier
more
too. As far as conversions, we used to be able to apply a goal once we had 50 conversions, and now the 50 conversions were just in one network. Now that they're across a myriad of networks, you need way more conversions because Google has to go figure out how those networks are interfacing. And more to I think this becomes a multi-dimensional problem because it's not just about the conversions across multiple networks. Performance Max is also full funnel. Yeah. Performance Max, if you have the content for it, is going to the top of the funnel and trying to drag people down. Smart shopping didn't seem, even though it was display based, didn't seem to really be doing that. It was still very bottom of the funnel. So I think PMax is so much fun, but I think we've just scratched the tip of the iceberg. I also think that we're going to end up being a media creation agency. I hate to say that, but I mean, it's going to get, because we keep coming to our clients and we're like, all right, we need more. And they're like, we don't have it. And then we're like, all right, well, bye. Like that's not tenable, but creating that amount of media, that's going to be costly. So I don't know what the model change there is, like sister agency, adjusting the model, coaching clients, education, like how do we get people to create the amount of content and media that would be necessary to feed the beast?
Yeah. Figuring out which type of media performs best.
Yeah. Why would the fact that the Google created videos perform shocks me?
Oh yeah, those videos are amazing. Have you tried making them? They're so good.
No,
like in the Google Ads thing, you go to asset build out or something. They're so good.
Oh yeah, Jasper is going to shoot a video on that. I'm going to go see where it is. I'll ask Leandra. Cool. How do we feel about the battle royale? We did it.
kind of did it.
It started off with a sword fight, ended up with coffee together.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Cool. Well, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Wait, before you go, I'm constantly looking for amazing people to come join our team. So if you're passionate about Google Ads and you're passionate about customer success, please go to solate.com/apply. And we'd love to see you as a part of the Solutions 8 team. Also, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that we actually know what we're doing. And don't forget to subscribe. We shoot a video every single day, and I don't want you to miss out on any of it. Lastly, if you have questions, comments, concerns, confessions, or you just hate my face and my voice, go ahead and hit us up in the comments. We get very little human interaction, and even the heckling is something that I kind of get a kick out of. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribers if you're a subscriber. Don't forget to apply if you're interested in working at Solutions 8. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.